PETA stuff.
This week we've got the Replacements live in New Jersey, the Pixies live in London, actor Dennis Quaid live in Austin, and an amazing guitarist named Danny Gatton live in our studio. I'm Kurt Loder. Welcome to the Week in Rock. One-time Yippie leader Abbie Hoffman died in bed Wednesday night at his home in New Hope, Pennsylvania. Hoffman was 52, and back in the late 60s and early 70s, along with fellow Yippie Jerry Rubin and German activist Danny Cohn-Bendit, he was one of the most famous political protesters in the world. Here's a look back.
Those Yippies that march on the amphitheater or go downtown or sit in restaurants or demand their rights, they'll be risking their lives. That's right. These cops here are tough. They'd kill you with a smile. Shoot to kill daily, you know.
Abbie Hoffman erupted into household name status back in 1968 when he co-founded the Youth International Party, the Yippies, and helped organize a massive anti-war disruption of the Democratic Convention in Chicago.
You call a cop a sissy, you call him a fag, you call him a commie Jew bastard, he gets insulted. You call him a pig or a Nazi stormtrooper, he digs that, because that's his concept of manliness. So you don't call him a pig, no. A pig's a nice person, man. He's our candidate.
Targeted by the government for his role in the Chicago riots, Hoffman was a defendant, along with Tom Hayden and Jerry Rubin, in the subsequent Chicago 7 show trial, in which he was ultimately acquitted. He wrote Revolution for the Hell of It and Steal This Book. He was busted in the mid-70s for allegedly selling cocaine to an undercover cop and spent 6 years in hiding before surrendering to plead guilty to a lesser charge. In the 80s, Hoffman was a regular fixture on the college lecture circuit and even tried his hand as a stand-up comic. But his subject was always the same, the 60s that he loved and the unbending political philosophy to which he remained true right up till the end.
I like to have people think of politics as something much more broader than a ritual done every 4 years in a little booth, that it's something that you do every day of your life.
Very much in the spirit of Abbie Hoffman, some 300,000 pro-choice demonstrators marched in Washington, D.C. last Sunday to draw attention to an upcoming Supreme Court case instigated by the late Reagan administration that could result in a revocation of the 1973 Roe versus Wade decision that legalized abortion in this country. The march was organized by the National Organization for Women, but it drew lots of men, too, and it went like this.
I don't know about you, but it's been a long time since I've marched.
From veteran marchers to first-time activists, it took every kind of people to make up the massive throng that marched on the nation's capital Sunday in support of a woman's right to an abortion. Even by D.C. standards, this was a big one. The official crowd estimate was 300,000, and organizers from the National Organization for Women put the number at twice that. There was star power aplenty, too, thanks in large part to the Hollywood Women's Political Caucus, whose members were very vocally pro-choice.
I just hope that I can help educate people that the issues at hand are not pro-abortion or anti-abortion, but it's pro-choice, to have control over our own destinies.
I want to do exactly what Reagan and Bush said they would do, which was to get the government off our backs and, in particular, out of our bedrooms.
We're not going to allow women back into bathrooms with hangers. We're not going to allow them to drink Drano anymore or feel like they've done something wrong by making the choice.
The reason for the concern at the moment, in just over 2 weeks, the Supreme Court will hear a Missouri case that could lead to the courts reversing Roe versus Wade, the 16-year-old landmark decision upholding abortion rights.
In 1973, when the Supreme Court handed down its binding decision in Roe versus Wade, legalizing women's right to choose, we thought this issue had been put to rest. We thought that our years of risking infection, sterility, and death itself were finally over.
More significant than the big names at Sunday's march were the regular folk, women, men, and children from all over the country, reflecting the more than 70% of Americans who support a woman's right to choose whether to give birth.
These children are my choice. I want them to believe, to stand up for what is right, what they believe in. And this is the way to do it, to get them out here now. I hope we would have the same thing in Israel, because we don't have pro-choice now.
It's suddenly becoming a very popular issue, and people from all over the country and their children are getting involved. And, you know, women's rights maybe aren't being taken for granted as much as I was afraid they were.
Despite the solidarity in the crowd, the marchers' optimism was guarded. Nearby groups of typically eye-catching anti-abortionists were reminded that the Supreme Court could well reverse its stand on abortion rights. Should that happen, pro-choicers are ready.
But the Supreme Court doesn't wake up and understand that we are not going to stop what we're doing. We are not going to stop, nor are we going to allow it to go too far backwards. There's a big fight on their hands. got a huge fight on their hands.
The Missouri case the pro-choice people fear could modify or annul Roe versus Wade will come before the Supreme Court on April 26th. On a more enjoyable note, the New York music community celebrated itself last weekend at the 4th Annual New York Music Awards Show. Who were the big winners? Let's take a look.
There is no other place like New York City, and if you can make it here, then you have the upper hand.
New York's top musical talent was honored at the 4th Annual New York Music Awards, which took place at the Beacon Theater last Saturday night. Among the big winners were Taylor Dayne, Living Color, and the undeniable star of the evening, Debbie Gibson.
There's a lot of variety here, and I think that's the big key. People don't just like one particular kind of music. You've got heavy metal, rock, dance, pop, everything.
From White Lion to Public Enemy, the show represented a broad spectrum of musical styles, and all the performers acknowledged the powerful impact of the Big Apple on their music.
You know, it's influenced my music incredibly because I'm from New York, and New York is the atmosphere that I've been surrounded by all my life. I think we dealt with living in New York, being who we are, and trying to get this music across. Basically, tempers the kind of music that we play and how we play it.
New York got the hardest crowd, you know.
Toughest crowd.
Yeah, if you ain't nothing, they will boo you.
New York is a tough place, and this was a tough crowd. Some performers, including Natalie Merchant of 10,000 Maniacs and folk singer Christine Lavin, were nearly booed off the stage. Even CBGB owner Hilly Crystal had trouble making his acceptance speech for a Hall of Fame award.
It took a lot of courage to get up on stage in front of all you people here. And thank you, I did say it.
Debbie Harry and Chris Stein of Blondie presented Crystal with the award in honor of his founding CBGB, the legendary punk watering hole where bands such as the Ramones, Talking Heads, and Blondie got their start. The twisted pop duo They Might Be Giants are among the many graduates of such downtown clubs as CBGB. This year they won an award for Best Indie Rock Band, but that wasn't the most exciting part of the evening for them.
Last year, we got to shake the Ramones' hands, and, this year we got to give an award to Living Color, who are, really cool guys. And so you got to meet, really cool people.
And Daryl McDaniels of Run DMC had the last word on the significance of this celebration of New York music.
We come from New York, and we influence other parts of the world.
Vernon Reid and Living Color got a bonus prize of sorts a few days later, by the way. On Wednesday, their debut album, Vivid, was finally certified platinum. Congratulations. Speaking of great guitar music, we'll be back with Danny Gatton, a guitarist you won't believe, plus the Pixies, the Austin River Fest, and the Replacements, so do stay tuned. Welcome back to the Week in Rock. Well, the Replacements, one of the finest rock and roll bands ever to emerge from Minneapolis, are taking their greatness back out on the road in support of their latest LP, Don't Tell a Soul. We caught up with them at Rutgers University in New Jersey last weekend and discovered, much to our relief, that despite slicker production and even marriage, the boys in the band haven't changed a bit.
I'm a DJ at WRSU, Rutgers University Radio, 88.7. Cook College, Replacements. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yes, the Replacements are back on the road again. They've honed their chops and polished up their celebrated vocals. And now, with the all-important major label backing, they're touring the country in style.
I'm shipping this UPS.
When the Replacements pull into a college town like New Brunswick, New Jersey, it's a lot like coming home again. College crowds have composed the core of the Replacements audience ever since the band started out 8 years ago. Of course, the group is a little older now, while their college fans remain perennially young.
A lot of braces. We're always like a little mesh fence.
And the fact that the band's new album, Don't Tell a Soul, is their most mature work to date hasn't sat too well with some of their longtime fans.
I had a guy come up to me last night and said, I really love your old records, but boy, this new one, I think it really sucks. He looked me right in the eye and said that.
But the Replacements soldier on regardless, fronted as always by sensitive singer-songwriter Paul Westerberg.
Oh, God, that I am.
Instrumentally propelled by drummer Chris Mars and the group's newest addition, guitarist Slim Dunlop.
We pay him handsomely.
And fueled in the attitude department by ace bassist Tommy Stinson, who joined the band when he was only 12 and still seems a long way from settling into maturity. So who is turning out to see these guys in such droves these days?
Our following is like 80% male. It really is. It really is.
A lot of girls are scared of us because we're not, real cute, and we're not real gentle when we play live. It's kind of a boisterous, boys night out kind of thing.
They think we're gay.
Yeah.
I'm out of breath.
They're today's rock and roll rebels. Loud energy, unreal, unbelievable. Everything was speed up. The slow stuff on the new album was all speed up. It was great.
So it's great.
It's the best.
Is all of this acclaim likely to go to the Replacements' heads?
We are the best.
Nah.
Speaking of fun, you should have been on hand for the 7th annual Austin Riverfest recently, hosted as always by the fabulous Thunderbirds. This year's fest featured excellent sets by John Hyatt, blues guitar legend Buddy Guy, and even moonlighting movie star Dennis Quaid. It was, as always, in Austin, and as you're about to see, a true blast.
I've been coming to the T-Bird Fest for about 4 years now, and to get a chance to play is even more fun than coming. And coming is like more fun than you could imagine.
Texas native Dennis Quaid celebrated his 35th birthday at the 7th annual Austin Riverfest, playing his first major musical gig with the Eclectics, the band he runs between acting assignments. Quaid was a highlight at this year's Riverfest, but by no means the only star on hand. The 12,000-plus crowd also soaked in a bluesy set by local guitar star Colin James, and by hometown heroes and festival founders, the fabulous Thunderbirds. And there was one certified living legend on hand, too, the great Chicago blues guitar giant Buddy Guy.
I bought a Stratocaster because Buddy Guy played a Stratocaster a long time ago. And he's the greatest. I don't know how you put it in words. He's Buddy Guy.
This year's Riverfest was also the 150th anniversary of the founding of Austin, one of America's great music cities, and there was a definite family feel to the whole event. What'll be the next big noise out of Austin? Probably the next T-Birds album, which the band has just finished recording.
Got 3 songs by Jerry Williams. Got 3 songs by David Porter, who wrote Wrap It Up and Soul Man and all that Otis Redding stuff in the 60s. And then the rest of it is by us, and there's one by Slim Harpo. It's just back to basics, hard T-Bird record.
It's also the best T-Bird record ever made. If you're a T-Bird fan, you got to get it.
Quaid and Vaughn, of course, both star in the upcoming biopic Great Balls of Fire. Quaid is Jerry Lee Lewis, and Vaughn is Lewis's celebrated guitarist Roland James. And now, on a completely different musical note, let's meet the Pixies. This Boston band became one of the hottest underground items on either side of the Atlantic last year with a terrific LP called Surfer Rosa. Now they're back with a major label debut called Doolittle that's out this weekend. You're going to be hearing a lot from this group starting right now.
A typical New York street scene. 4 out-of-towners stop for an apparently innocent curbside snack. Little does that Knish vendor know that he's unwittingly interacted with Boston's baddest new band, the Pixies. Despite their deceptively innocent appearance, this is a band that traffics in songs with such titles as Dead, Debaser, and Wave of Mutilation. And this is their leader, a man who calls himself Black Francis, although his parents still know him as Charles Michael Kittredge Thompson IV.
I like Black. Sounds great when they go, hey, Black.
The Pixies came together in 1986 when archaeology student Thompson talked his University of Massachusetts roommate, a Filipino guitarist named Joey Santiago, into dropping out of school to start a band. Next, they needed a bassist, so they put an ad in a local paper. It was spotted by this woman, Kim Deal.
It said, looking for a female bassist, playing something like Who's Kudu and Peter, Paul and Mary, something like that.
Kim Deal, the bass player, was the only one who answered the ad, and she didn't have a bass.
Deal brought in her pal David Lovering to play drums, and the group started cutting some of Thompson's songs. They sent out a demo tape, and England's 4AD label was so impressed, it released the demo as a mini-album called Come On Pilgrim. The Pixies' first full-fledged album, Surfer Rosa, was released early last year and shot at the top of the British independent charts. The group quickly booked concert dates in England and were amazed at the response.
The first gig there in London blew us away.
First
kids are way more rock and roll, I think. They're more like into haircuts and leather jackets, and it's more Las Vegas over there. And I think that's cool.
Fortunately, this sudden stardom didn't go to the boys' heads.
They don't even get groupies, they're so nice. No, not really, it's true. Sorry. They don't, it's sad.
That may change, though, with the release of the Pixies' first major label album, Doolittle.
It was supposed to be called Whore. We thought we would offend a lot of people, and most people went, oh, okay.
And with all that British buzz behind them, the big bad Pixies are ready to take America, too, by storm.
We just want to make everyone's spine tingly and everything. And when people feel really good. You know when you hear like Mr. Postman, like you get like little tingles, you know, like that.
The Pixies are in Europe right now, but they'll be back to tear up the States later this spring. We'll be back in a moment with one of the most astonishing guitar players you've ever seen, so don't wander off. Welcome back to the Week in Rock. We've got a little in-house news for you now, but it's legit, don't worry. It's the MTV Headbangers Ball Tour, which is stomping its way across the country right now and stars one of our favorite Metaloid units, Anthrax, supported by Halloween and Exodus. What a show. The tour kicked off on April 3rd, and when it arrived in Long Beach, California recently, we were on hand to check it out for ourselves.
Well, Charlie, what's the crowd reaction been here now on this tour? How about you, Scott?
Kind of like a library. So tell me, Frankie, you know, 3 bands on this tour. Is there any schism between any of the bands? You know, how we get along?
I hate everybody. I hate them. Oh, nah, it's been really good. It's been really good. They're all cool guys. We know them a long time, so it's really cool.
And, Joe, what do you think?
Geez, you guys took off on me last night. I slept on Exodus bus. You guys left me.
Really?
Yeah, we get along great.
I think there's really no competition between Anthrax and Exodus and Halloween, because I think the bands like each other quite a lot.
One of the bands does really well on stage. You know, it is healthy because it pushes the others to go out and like give it, you know, 100%. You know, but we're having a lot of fun. We get along really great with Anthrax and Halloween. And it's hard to believe this is only the 5th show on the tour. There's too much fun ahead. I'm scared. On a tour like this, I don't worry about the crowd overdosing on metal because they know how much they can take and they know how much they can withstand.
Lots of headbanging. Absolutely.
Headbangers Ball Tour is the best.
And most of it's sold out. I think all of it, actually, to tell you the truth. Just come hang out and straggle outside and listen to the tunes.
And now for something really special. Danny Gatton has been a guitar-playing legend in the Washington, D.C. area where he lives for years, and right now he's about the hottest underground buzz in the American music business. How about that? He's played as a sideman with everybody from Roger Miller to Robert Gordon, and he plays everything from blues and country to jazz and TV show themes. He's about to start work on his first major album, but we've got him right here, right now. Danny, I can't tell you how good it is to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
What are you going to play for us?
We're going to do a medley of early Presley things.
Sounds promising. I'll get out of the way. Okay.
My baby left me,
It's
and that's
yours.
all right, Mama.
Okay.
Where that old black train got my baby gone. Train, train, coming round the bend. Train, train, coming round the bend. Well, it took my baby. Never will again, never will.
Danny Gatton Band. Next week on The Week in Rock, Tom Petty, Matthew Sweet, and homemade music. We'll see you then.
That's all right.